Hi, it's Etharal here, and today we are back with our Crusader Kings 2 Japanese mod, where again I am not going to try and pronounce the actual name for it, where we've been playing as the Nanbu clan, looking to try and expand here. We're aiming to hopefully get enough land to be able to take over what is in effect the kingdom and become a Daimyo, so far more powerful than we currently are. This one is going to take probably a little bit of a while to do. We've got a lot to have to try and do to be able to get that land of Kita Oshu. However, the good advantage with this game is you do pretty much get subjugation and conquest wars with anybody and everybody, which is going to make things a lot easier for just basically attacking people. And as I do have to make sure that I do balance that out, however, with my actual karma, so this mod's version of the piety that will go down the more of these subjugations that I use. So I do need to make sure that I keep that all nice and balanced, and then from that we'll then be able to continue to expand further once we do manage to get some extra Daimyo actual province title. Could not get that one out to save my life there. So if we do manage to get that, that'll then allow us to do subjugation wars through that, which will make things a lot easier, allow us to grow quite a bit faster in that sense, because we won't need to be worrying about monitoring our karma, which is going to be going down, which does affect our contribution to the family's war score, which not ideal thing to have happen, but could be a lot worse. It is going to be costing us quite a fair bit to be able to do it, but not too bad. We are also trying to balance here with our actual nobles. I've played around a little bit. This has come from the updates of the newer game, of the actual game itself, where here the actual guys in my in my council have a lot more control. They have a lot more weight to them, which makes the councillors a lot more interesting. Actually, I'm quite enjoying them, spending a good bit of time trying to balance them, make sure they're all happy, and they're not trying to expand their own power too much. They do have power to be able to start looking at voting and things like that, which is less than ideal. We don't want them to be, trying to vote and try and curb our power. As the Daimyo, we should really have complete ruling, complete power in our lands, but we can't have at the minute, so not the end of the world though, or anything like that. And if they do manage to gain some more power, then we'll take that as we come. Here, our guy, he's been around for a while, he knows what he's doing, he's got a good bit of control on these guys, so it could be a lot worse, and I think they could be trying to get a lot more power than they actually are at the minute, so that's nothing too much to worry about or anything like that though. And this war here for Iwate is going very well. We are managing to push them back into their castle, and it's just a case at the minute of taking them down. I'm going to mainly focus on trying to bring this castle down. They could, attack me in Niohi, and that is my capital, as you can see there with their main guys, their main force, but we massively outnumber them. We're going to take this castle down soon, so I'm not too worried about that. The main thing I am worried about is trying to just make sure that our guys are as happy as possible. These guys are wanting to increase the power for the council, and so we're having to try and bring them back under control, so that way that actual faction isn't really going to have any effect or anything. That's the plan at the minute, at least. They are still a little bit unsure on what they're doing, and I can't seem to just get these people high enough. It seems like they are determined, and quite understandably, if they actually do manage to increase the faction power, then that'll be a case that they will actually be able to take more control of the land, and then I will have to sort of jockey to them even more, which is something that we don't really want to be doing all that much. We want to try and balance that out as much as we possibly can, but that for the minute, that's sort of more of a long goal and a consistent goal rather than anything that you'd be too worried about at the minute. So here we're just moving things around. I'm going to move my focus towards a much more diplomacy focus. We've got a good couple of children and everything there, where the line of succession is assured and everything. We do have a grandchild as well, I believe, so we've not got too much to worry about in that term. So I want to move towards more of the diplomacy, try and improve my relations with my actual vassals, so that way they're going to be less inclined to want to try and do something to me or anything like that, basically. Here you can see we do have a lot of minor titles that we can give, and also honorary titles to give to our people. So have a bit of a look around at these, trying to think, okay, so is there any that I really want to do? Is there any that's going to benefit me? Having commanders, that one very obviously going to benefit me. So just going through and improving all those. These ones, the musicians, poets, all those sorts of things, they have a lot of extra options, so they are going to make people a little bit happier with us and everything, which getting an extra happiness with us always going to be useful for our vassals. Make sure that they aren't going to be wanting to revolt or anything like that. It does seem like this game, they don't actually seem to be revolting as much, and there doesn't seem to be quite so much internal splitting the actual country or our kingdom up type ones where, you know, there's, you know, faction for independence, things like that. These I haven't actually seen come up at all so far, which is quite an interesting one. It seems to have reduced that one. However, instead, what it's decided to do, there's a lot more of them trying to gain power, so they're remaining inside the actual kingdom, but they have more power and reducing me down to slightly more of a figurehead almost, which isn't something that's happening just yet, but it looks like that's the way that the way factions work seem now from all the updates and everything like that, which is something we are, like I said, we are going to have to manage those, and we are going to have to make sure that these people are now coming to us. And it is a case that, unfortunately, because of having to balancing this and keep these, you know, powerful vassals happy in our actual land, we are actually going to have to make some sacrifices to actually choose some people that, you know, who are maybe not best at the job. There's maybe people that are better, but the fact is that they have the political clout in the Nanbu clan to be able to override that, which is actually a far more accurate way of doing things in real life, which is something I do like. I think, you know, the newest update and the newest DLC for the game, really solid idea, and really has, you know, worked in really well. It's now, as you can see in this Nanbu one, I'm having to try and now balance that between the idea of, okay, guys that actually know what they're doing and guys that have the power to be able to demand things from me, trying to have to balance those to make sure that things don't go all of their way, but then also they can't go quite all of my way as well. So nice balance there, and I think we mentioned get it in Nanbu, although Nanbu is still quite small, so things could certainly turn around as we do continue to grow. If we want to continue to grow into the Kito Oshu, then I think it's going to be a case of then we're going to need to split down our vassals, make sure we are relying on a lot more daimyos to be able to split up the land, and then from that, with the land being split, we can then actually look at mainly just cherry picking the best ones that we want to make as the vassals, direct vassals, and making sure that we're transferring vassals underneath them. So we're going to probably be, to help balance that out and to help overcome the problems that we are going to experience with the new way of doing things with the factions and the increased power to the council, it is going to be a case we are going to have to make sure that we're balancing, you know, we've got actually as minimum vassals as possible and make sure everyone's transferred, so that way, rather than what I normally do of trying to keep everything nice and diverse and split out with as many vassals as possible, it's going to probably change that gameplay around, as I normally like to do that, which means that none ever get quite powerful enough. However, now what I think we're going to have to do, and what it does seem like that the actual guys in the Paradox, what their original intention was, is to more rely on using bigger vassals, but then focusing more on keeping them happy as well. I think that's what they originally got for it. Does seem like that's what they've tried at least, and I think now it is going to be because we are going to have to look at actually doing that ourselves with the new changes that they have brought in. So here, just coming back to the game, there you can see that the Nanbu are declaring war yet again. We are modern, you know, a little bit of a warlike, although this is the Sengoku Jidai, so, you know, it is the country at war era and civil war, so nothing really new there, and we're going to continue to expand further as we do go. We are going to hit into, by the looks of it, that quite powerful guy 2 hours south pretty soon. We're losing that buffer, although here you can see we have managed to claim more than a little bit of war. We'll probably move to our east next and claim those lands with any luck, although it does look like there seems to be some war going on there that we do hear war of as the Lord Nanbu, and so we decide, you know what, we're going to leave them for a little bit maybe. There will be something we want to move into. Before then we will, once we've managed to unify all of Kito Oshu, though we are then going to look at moving further to the west as well, so that way there's nobody really going to be coming at us from all sides. We can sort of focus on moving one direction just purely south at once. That is the intention, at least. So here we could actually get the title of Kito Oshu. However, we have enough of the lands of it to be able to claim it. However, we do not have the gold or the karma to be able to do it. So there's going to be a case that to be able to come from a Daimyo at the minute to a Daimyo, then we are going to have to look at basically improving ourselves, unfortunately, improving our piety and that, well, karma as they call it in this. So that's something we're going to have to look at doing at a later date, but not too much to worry about that one at this time or anything like that though. So could certainly be an awful lot worse in that. I think we've got a good target for that one. So we will just basically have to continue going, moving our karma forward, and also as well beginning to expand as we do go. I still want to be trying to claim as much land as we possibly can as well, though, when we do hear a response of some, well, rebels. So these rebels, though, they are going to regret it. We have got a very highly trained army, I'd like to think. We do have a larger army than them as well, so we will pull all of these guys together, and then from pulling them together, well, that's not going to go too well when one of our vassals does end up getting into war with them. So we move down, take them out, no problem there. So this guy, we're just going to get rid of him straight away though. Just execute him. He's a lowborn, he was a rebel leader, not a problem, get rid of him, no problem there. So here, this is quite nice option as well that I have noticed, that as your children and such are growing up, you can actually choose focuses for the type of education that they're getting, which will, again, another way to influence their traits and direct what is happening for them. Very nice feature, that one. Does give you a lot more control, and I am also going to, I believe, have a look at promoting my rank in the Imperial Court to be somebody of increasing import throughout the whole time, throughout the whole land as a whole. Here the guy just again looking at seeing that we are again, you know, we're quite a way off. It's going to take us quite a while, and unfortunately with our Daimyo being not exactly as young as he would like, it's probably going to be a case that it's not going to be able to get this actually before we do die with any luck. Obviously it won't come to that, but it is looking certainly like I am, but you know, that could be lot worse. Here do decide as well actually change around to the Kuni of Rikuchu. I actually realize that I need to have 2 lands of daimyos, and to be able to get that thing as well, which I don't have. I actually need to claim, I have 1 fully unified and then a little bit of the other one, but not enough to be able to get the Kuni itself to then be able to get the whole of the Daimyo title. So we are going to have to move into this war. Unfortunately this war, it does cost us a lot of karma. We're now in the mines, as we are known as not being the, you know, leader of religions or anything like that, unfortunately, which does mean that that's going to be again now long slog. Like I say, we are getting quite old now. I think it's probably going to be a case we may struggle to actually get our guy to be able to become the Daimyo as he does want to be for Kito Oshu in time before he does die, and then that will have to probably get passed on to our son as a later option, unfortunately. But here you can see that we have managed to sweep those guys aside very easily, as we do hear reports of the war in the east. 2 of us in another land is not going their way, and it does seem like these rebels are starting to make headway, which for us may actually be a good thing though. We may be able to expand that land even a little bit further, maybe, who knows. We'll have to keep an eye on that one, see how it goes. Here I've made my actual son the Lord of Iwate. He is going to be somebody that we are going to have to bring up, and I do believe, is that him? Oh no, that's not him, sorry, there, that I've got open at the minute, which is a good thing. But yes, Iwate is one of the lands that I have, and I've decided to move my son to it. He is not brilliant spy master, unfortunately. It is a case that everyone else there is, you know, reasonably okay at the jobs that they're doing, so, you know, I don't want to move things around too much or anything like that, when unfortunately he actually appears to have passed away by the looks of it there, my son. So now it's going to be a case, probably my grandson, that I'm going to be having to take, you know, and become when I do die, which will probably be sooner rather than later. So this guy, you know, the leader of Nanbu clan, he's ruled for many years. He is definitely not a young guy anymore, and that is pretty much where we're going to leave it for today. So the plan for the minute is still just get that karma up to the point where we can actually get the Daimyo title, and then from that be able to unify all of this area, and then we will continue to move further south and west, I believe. So that's going to be my plan for the minute. Do be sure to subscribe if you do want to see that. I put out videos every single week, at least once or twice every single week, if not every day if I can. So I've been Etharal. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here at EGN.